Okay, it's working now. All right, so hello on YouTube. If you're watching this after it's already been live, we are officially going to get started in 10 minutes. So if you move the dial to the 10-minute mark, that is when we will officially begin. Today we're going to have a guided meditation followed by a short talk, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. Okay, as time allows. It should be about 1 hour, a 1 hour session, and look forward to practicing with you. Okay, so I'm going to be right back, and if you're watching on TikTok, you can join through the YouTube stream, which is going to be in higher definition, and you'll be able to see the people who are joining on Discord. So I encourage you to join in the group meditation through YouTube if it's convenient for you. And the YouTube channel is just called Monk Life, or Welcome to Monk Life. So you can search for it there on YouTube. Hey there, Chesh. All right, so I'm going to step away for just a moment, and then in 8 minutes, we're going to get started with our meditation, okay? Thank you for being here, everybody.
So how is everyone doing?
So we're going to get started in just a moment with our group meditation. So it's a time to uh, we're going to get started in just a moment with our group meditation. So it's a time to get comfortable, to settle in, to find that position to meditate in. Beginning to bring your focus and your mind to the present, to the body. And kind of before we meditate, we start meditating. So that is, we kind of slow down. We start to bring our attention onto the breath, our attention onto the body, and we really bring up that seed, that intention to practice, that intention to be intimate with ourselves, to look inward, not through thinking, not through ideas, but to really look and embrace ourselves. And final reminder, if you are watching on TikTok, we are live on YouTube, and you can get maybe a better audio quality, and you can see the people in the Discord who are joining us. We're all meditating together on the Discord. So this is a community practice, a community activity. And the YouTube channel is the same name as the TikTok name. Or you can also find it by just searching for Welcome to Monk Life on YouTube. But we'll still be live on TikTok if you want to join that way. Okay, so just 4 more minutes until we get started. And we can maybe feel a bit of the preciousness that we kind of find ourselves in a position where we're really about to dive in and to practice together and bring a sense of sincerity and heart and compassion to inside, to looking inside, and really having a proper valuation and appreciation of that as a treasure. Each of us doing that as individuals, but together. Because a lot of what we need to do meditation is that feeling, that inspiration, that we actually want to do it. It's one of those things where when you start, you immediately find that it's not your normal way of being. It's not your normal way of trying to get something and trying to get rid of something, but it is a state of just being aware. And so we have different techniques, we have different methods for approaching that state and being with that state. But we have to have that sincerity and that real interest to do it at the core. Otherwise, we couldn't. We would give up right away. We would say, this doesn't taste like Mountain Dew. How did I get here? This isn't TikTok. In this case it is, but when we start to meditate, we find, whoa, this is not how we usually go about things. So we have to have that real intention to do it. Just another minute before we begin. Just want to check on TikTok. Is the audio okay? Can you all hear me okay on TikTok? It must be the weirdest thing in the world for everyone watching on Discord or YouTube to see a monk about to lead a meditation asking, is the audio okay on TikTok? But it's important. Yeah, it's all right. Great. So final announcement that if you're watching on TikTok, we're live on YouTube, and that's a higher quality stream, higher quality audio. So if you search for Monk Life on YouTube, you'll find us live. You can join there. All right, so we're about to hit the 10-minute mark. So hello and welcome to everyone who's here, especially our Sangha, our community members here on Discord. I'm really happy to be here today. I feel energized, I feel inspired for us to practice together, and people are hungry for this, for this intimacy in these spaces, so that we are on the Discord, in our community, that we're regularly coming together and fostering this kind of practice and this energy. It's really so valuable, and so I'm really grateful for everyone who's part of this community. So today we're going to start with a guided meditation. I'm going to give quite a bit of guidance, as much as I can. After that, I'll ring the bell, and then I'll give kind of a short talk on this traditional Buddhist philosophical teaching called the Fire Sermon. And the topic of that talk is Everything is Burning. And this is a talk that I just gave at a housewarming ceremony for Sri Lankan families in the area. And they kind of put me on the spot and had me give a talk. And it came out pretty well. So now I'm more prepared than usual to give a talk to share here. Okay. So getting started with our meditation practice, the first thing that we have to do is we have to find a comfortable position. We have to be aware that there's a body that is a kind of big part of our life, and if we want to settle down, if we want to practice meditation, we have to find a comfortable position for the body. It doesn't need to be a meditation position, it doesn't need to be a yoga position, but just finding a comfortable, suitable position for your body to be kind of still, so you're not holding yourself up, but you're just relaxed and your body is also kind of there, stable and upright. And once we find that we have this kind of somewhat comfortable position for the body, and that we also have this sincerity, this intention to practice meditation, we began our practice by placing our mind onto the breath. And a technique that I'd like to share, and I want us to practice together with the breathing, is something I will call a based breathing. Based breathing. So what we're going to do, we're going to first of all exhale all the air out of our lungs, however you like to do that. And then breathing in deeply through the nose. And then as you exhale, breathing out through the mouth kind of slowly, but also breathing out all the air, and breathing out through the mouth as if there's a straw in between your lips. So breathing in very deeply through the nose, and breathing out through the mouth. So we'll keep up, we'll do quite a few moments of that practice of this based breathing. And so as we're doing that, we are really bringing the mind to the body. So this practice of breathing in deeply through the nose and breathing out slowly through the mouth to kind of gather up our awareness and our attention and bring it to the body. And then as we breathing out, relaxing, settling, calming, stabilizing. And it's totally okay as we do this to close your eyes and not to really pay attention to anything else, but just turning the mind inward and really following and feeling the breath as it comes in through the nose and goes out through the mouth. And as we really start to feel settled and kind of relaxed, but also present. So relaxed, but also quite aware. Just allowing the breath to find a natural rhythm, breathing in and out through the nose. A natural, aware rhythm of the breath. Coming in and going out through the nose. And so when we practice meditation, it's very important that we have a method, an approach, a way of meditating. And so as we go through this guided meditation, the main practice, what we can kind of fall back on and come back to again and again, is the sensations, the real direct feeling of the breath coming in and going out through the nose. And so as we practice this meditation, instead of relying on our thoughts or our stories or our ideas about our life, relying on the method, relying on following the breath, feeling the breath as it comes in and goes out through the nose. And so now as we are breathing in this natural calm rhythm, with our awareness we are going to scan through the body. So we have very strong ideas about our body, like my head, my arms, my stomach. We're very acquainted with that. But there's also this experience of having a body. There's this head that happens to be there, this body that happens to be there. And so with our method of meditation, we're going to scan through the body. We're just kind of placing our awareness and our attention onto the body slowly as we move through it. So continuing this practice of following the breath, being aware of the body, and giving an extra layer of attention, an extra layer of awareness, of noticing to the head area. So breathing in this natural rhythm and noticing any tension or feelings in the head area. And any tension, any tightness that you notice in the head area, just accepting and releasing it, relaxing it. Being aware of this experience of having a head and letting any sensations or headache or anything that you feel there, breathing and letting it be the way that it is. No friction, no conflict. Allowing our awareness to flow down into our neck and our shoulders. Noticing any tension there and relaxing it. Accepting the feeling of the neck and the shoulders. Allowing our awareness to flow down into our arms, starting with our upper arms to our elbows, into the forearms and the wrists and the hands. Breathing and noticing, being aware of the arms. Whatever feelings or sensations we notice there, accepting them, relaxing them. Letting the arms go as we move our attention into the chest, the upper back, the whole midsection area, the whole torso. Breathing and noticing, aware of the experience, any sensations in the stomach, in the torso, in this area of the body, the midsection. Sometimes when we focus on meditation, we notice that there is a tightness in our stomach, or just in our daily life, there can be a tightness in how we breathe. So right now, being aware of that tightness, or that lack of tightness in the stomach, in the lungs area, and just accepting it. Breathing the way that you're able to breathe right now, without any worry or friction or judgment. Just allowing yourself to breathe the way that you are right now. To be totally okay with the way that things are right now, as we breathe and are aware of the body, the torso. And letting go of the torso, moving our attention and our awareness down into the buttocks, the groin area, the pelvis, this area at the base of our midsection, this pelvis area, really noticing and looking into the sensations or the feelings in that area. And any tension or tightness, just relaxing it. Accepting the buttocks, pelvis, groin, inner thighs area. Breathing and being aware. It's not so much that we are doing this, as much as it is that we are allowing ourselves to just breathe and be aware of the body. As our awareness and our attention moves down into our thighs, into our knees, down into the shins and the calves, the ankles and the feet. Breathing and noticing, being aware of the legs. The experience, the feelings of having legs at this moment. And finally, relaxing and letting go of the legs area. And as we take a deep breath in through the nose, feeling the breath as awareness flowing into our body. And so as we breathe in, feeling our whole body filling up with awareness, with presence. With each breath in, really breathing in this awareness of the body. Breathing in and being aware. And as we breathe out, relaxing and settling. Allowing the mind, our awareness, our life to settle into this present heart, this present breathing and being aware of the body. In a sense, there's almost no effort that we need to apply, but more so that we are allowing ourselves this time without expectation to breathe and be aware of the body, to breathe and be aware. It's natural to have thoughts or get distracted. If that happens, just coming back to this, allowing yourself to breathe and be aware, to rely on breathing and being aware. No complicated thinking, no judgments, nowhere to go, just breathing and being aware. The mind is very natural, aware, present, bright. This breathing and being aware is totally ordinary. We always have access to it. But at this time, rolling down in the deep, really connecting, really showing up with our heart, our body, our life, through just breathing, just being aware. Allowing the mind to take care of itself. Allowing the body to take care of itself. Just being. We're not waiting for something to happen. We're not working towards some particular experience. When we feel the mind of craving, when we feel the mind of expectation, just notice it and come back to breathing and being aware. Nowhere to go, nothing to get. Just this. Watch out for falling into any kind of trance, too much sleepiness, or too much stress about meditating. It's just breathing. It's just being aware, being intimate, connecting with our difficulties, our confusions, our tendency to get distracted. Being okay with difficulty. Being okay with just this. And so in meditation, we're always starting again. We're always refreshing. With each and every breath, with each and every moment, that's where meditation is. Not in the trance or the perfect meditation, but that moment to moment, breath by breath, just this. So for a few more minutes, following the breath, turning inward, no expectation, no goal, until we hear the sound of the bell. So we can slowly start to move our body. If you like, you can rub your hands together, kind of get some heat in your hands, and then to massage your face. Massage your head. And neck. Shoulders. So much of meditation is that we're just spending some time to be intimate with ourselves and to connect with ourselves. So after we meditate, or even as a meditation, we can give ourselves a kind of massage, kind of intimacy in that way. So now we're going to have a bit of a Dharma talk, you could say. More so that I'm sharing my experience about this and my view about this from a Buddhist perspective. It's not that I am any kind of master or guru, but this is some of the Buddhist concepts that we have, and I want to share them with everyone here. So the best is to listen from the heart, to listen from the body, and not really trying to figure out what I'm saying, but to see if you can understand it from your heart and just kind of see what comes up. All right? So the title of this talk is Everything is Burning. One of the original stories of the Buddha is that after the Buddha's enlightenment, he had, after the Buddha's enlightenment, even before that, he had these friends, these 5 ascetics. And so the Buddha's first practices in becoming a monk, or leaving his household life, getting into his very intense spiritual life, was to do intensive renunciation practices. So the Buddha wouldn't eat. The Buddha wouldn't drink water. At this time, Siddhartha wouldn't drink water. He would sit out, or who knows if the Buddha was a man, I don't know. The Buddha would sit out in the sun and just be bare to the sun and do these very ascetic renunciation practices. And at one point the Buddha said, well, this isn't working for me. This extreme of rejection, of trying to get rid of, this isn't really working for me. And so the Buddha started to eat and take some food. And so these ascetics, or these friends of the Buddha, these spiritual friends at that time, before he had his enlightenment, they saw that he started to take food, and they said, wow, we thought you were really something, but now you're eating and you're not doing these practices anymore. We don't really trust you. And so they left the Buddha. They didn't stay with him. So the Buddha goes under the Bodhi tree, this tree of enlightenment, and practices meditation. And he makes this kind of commitment, this vow that I'm going to sit here breathing and being aware, at least in some sense we can say that. I'm going to sit here breathing and being aware until I really get it, until I really understand the nature of suffering and am no longer suffering, until I wake up. So the Buddha is sitting there for a long time, very sincerely. And by this time, the Buddha had a very powerful mind, so he can go into these deep states of concentration, these deep states of absorption, where it's just, wow, it's so much peace, so much bliss. But still, that's not quite it. Those states are also temporary. So anyway, the Buddha is sitting there for a long, long time in this way. And eventually, a good friend of all of ours, I think, Mara, shows up. And so Mara is this embodiment of anger and greed and selfishness and nastiness and this kind of suffering, this embodiment of our craving and our aversion. And Mara comes up to the Buddha, kind of in the Buddha's mind. It's like an archetype. And the Buddha is confronted with all of these desires, images of beautiful people, of delicious foods, and also confronted by hells, these painful images, these painful memories, all of these experiences to get the Buddha up. Because Mara, this attachment mind, this selfish mind, doesn't, the dreaming mind, we all experience this. When we're having a dream and when we wake up, what do we want to do? We want to go right back to sleep. We want to stay in that space as long as we can, to be sleeping and peaceful and resting. And oh, it's so pleasurable to be sleeping, right? So Mara comes and says, look, we're not waking up. We're going back to sleep. Look at all these things, fears and desires and pleasurable things and unpleasant things. And the Buddha just sits there and isn't moved, doesn't give up, goes back to the method, goes back to the practice of, breathing and being aware in some sense, this mindfulness, this just being. And so the Buddha wakes up. The Buddha attains peace, understanding. And from the Buddhist perspective, we have these kind of levels of meditation, these levels of concentration. So you become a really good meditator. Oh, so blissful, so peaceful, but really intense, and then so unattached, and then you're so aware, you're so bright, you're so with it, attentively and bright and with it, and there's not a body there. And, you have these kind of experiences. But so is that enlightenment, that we have these deeply pleasurable, blissful, emptiness, non-attached experiences where we're totally blissed out and non-attached? Is that enlightenment? No, none of that is enlightenment. Enlightenment, that waking up, is realizing and experiencing deeply, profoundly, without moving, that all of those are impermanent. Let alone our kind of mundane, our normal kind of unpleasantnesses and difficulties in relationship and, thoughts that we don't like, or, pleasurable experiences that we really like, or fame and gain or loss and shame and all that, that not only is all that impermanent, but also these supra-mundane, these absorption states of total peace, total empowerment, total PewDiePie states. You're the most powerful person in the world, way more than PewDiePie. PewDiePie would love to experience this. Or, some president or some kind of person at the very top. Even these deep, blissful states of the most success you can imagine are impermanent. So that's kind of the Buddha woke up. The Buddha was enlightened, we can say. And Thich Nhat Hanh translate enlightenment as well-being, as peace. So it doesn't need to be this kind of, tripped out idea of enlightenment and, we become so spiritual and all that. It doesn't need to be that. So the Buddha attained peace. The Buddha woke up, we can say. And after the Buddha woke up, he immediately thought, well, I can't teach this to anybody. How can I convey this? How can I express this? It's nearly impossible. The Buddha had this thought, but then by circumstance was inspired to kind of teach. Anyway, the Buddha went back to his 5 friends, to these ascetics, these extreme renunciates that wouldn't eat and wouldn't drink and, to mortify the body, as this kind of ultra renunciation. He went back to them and he preached this sermon, this fire sermon. Just a preface, a disclaimer, I'm not a scholar. Some of this may be a little bit off the mark, but the wisdom is there. The generality of it is there. So it's not too much off the mark, but maybe not the most literal translation of this story. So the Buddha gave to them this fire sermon, this sermon of everything is burning. Our body is burning. Our mind and our thoughts are burning. Our perfect dreams of what will happen and who we can be and who we will be if we do everything right is burning. Our traumas and our difficulties and that difficult stuff in our past, that person that we used to be, that's also burning. This body, this house, this place, this experience that we're having, the seeing, the hearing, the smelling, the tasting, the touching, everything, our loved ones, everything is burning. It is a flame. So what is it burning with? It's burning with impermanence. It's burning with a lack of total completeness, a suffering, a dissatisfactoriness, in that it's not permanent. It's not fixed. It's not this, everything that we experience, our senses and our relationships, it's not this luminous, bright light, that's radiating everywhere. There's an unsatisfactoriness to it. There's a difficulty to it that goes along with being, that goes along with anything that has come into being. And also this interconnectedness, this non-self, so that everything is totally interconnected. How we act right now is going to affect our next moments. What we experience right now is totally interconnected and interwoven with everything that's going on at this moment. So this fixed idea that we have of ourselves, this fixed idea of our eyes and our ears and our nose and this body that's not going to die anytime soon, these relationships and these standards and these things that we've kind of gotten accustomed to, well, they're not going to change anytime soon. They're stable. They're fixed. The teaching is that everything is burning. Everything is changing all the time, coming up and going away. Now, this puts us into a place of intimacy, of immediacy. It's not a sorrowful state. It's not a reason to have a panic attack. This is a reality, that the body is not permanent. You don't need to emotionalize with it or empathize with it. It's just a nature. Everything's impermanent. The sun is impermanent, and we don't kind of look at the sun and understand that, oh yeah, that is impermanent, and we have a panic attack. No, we don't need to do that. But it puts us into this place of intimacy, of connection, not with our idea about our lives, not with our expectations and with our desires and our cravings, but it puts us into this place of intimacy with our moment-to-moment life. Our connection to this, wow, profound, unbelievable, expansive, open, wholehearted, moment-to-moment life. So what do we do when we find out that the house is burning? Let's say you don't know how to move your body. You don't know how to use your legs. If the house is burning, you've got to do something. So hopefully you know how to use your legs and you can get out. And we all have this general skillfulness about how to navigate in our lives so that we're not just a total ball of suffering, right? We can kind of navigate it and work with it so that we do have some peace in our life. But what does the Buddha, this kind of head coach that Buddhists love, what does he have to say about it? How did he teach about what do we do in this intimacy, this directness, this realizing that our head is a flame? What do we do? Well, there's a path, there's a way, there's something that we do. And this is called Sila, Samadhi, Panya. These three paths, these three ways of realizing the way, dealing with suffering, ending suffering. And they're so simple. But the issue in applying these and engaging with our life in this skillful way is that we're always taking steps back and moving away from intimacy. We're always moving away from that connection. We're always kind of putting a helmet on to that fire. Our head's on fire. I don't even have hair. But many of us have hair. And so we're putting a helmet onto that hair that's on fire, and we're saying, well, look, my head's not on fire. I'm just going to do what I do, what I crave, and I'm going to try to avoid what I don't like. So we we need to stop putting on that cap and take it off and realizing that our head is aflame, that this intimate, direct moment of our life right here and right now is all that we have. And it's intimate and it's direct, and that's where we need to live. From that place, or that's the only place we can live, from that place, Sila Samadhi Panya. So what is Sila? Sila is morality. It couldn't be more simple. Intentionally being ethical. Intentionally being kind. It can be almost anything. You can go to your local gas station and, let's say you have to use the toilet, clean the toilet for the benefit of someone else, so that someone else can come across that and wow, how nice. Be intentionally kind, generous, intentionally patient, intentionally forgiving of someone's faults, intentionally kind of notice when you're holding up that sword of righteous anger and righteous negative thinking, a righteous greediness, and intentionally put it down and recognize that I don't need to live like that all the time. So every day in our life, in our moment-to-moment life, we can practice generosity intentionally. We can practice patience intentionally. We can keep a kind of watch on the mind so that when anger, when frustration, when difficulty arise, we invite the opposite. When nastiness arises, judgment towards another person arises, we invite compassion. We invite loving kindness. And we practice with that, we cultivate with that intentionally, sincerely. And so this is to live a skillful life. This is to every day do something for the benefit of someone else or for the benefit of ourselves. This is the sila. This is the groundwork of a stable mind. On that groundwork, and it's just doing one thing. It's just bringing that intention to your everyday life to be intentionally ethical, intentionally helpful, intentionally skillful. Not just doing something because it brings you pleasure, but because you kind of know that it's skillful to do this, to help out taking the trash, or to clean something, or to clean a public toilet, or to talk with a homeless person, or to call up a friend that you know is troubling and not so pleasant to talk with, but would probably appreciate for you to talk with them. So you intentionally do these kinds of things. You don't overburden yourself. You don't put yourself in a bad situation, but you bring that intentional kindness to your life every day, moment to moment. This helps us to stabilize and calm our mind. From this place of stability and from calmness, then we can practice introspection. We can practice meditation. And at least in Buddhism, we consider that meditation is of the highest skillfulness. So if you're able to do it, you can practice meditation, and that's going to build up your sila, your morality, your general skillfulness naturally. But for a lot of people, they couldn't practice meditation. It's just too much. The causes and conditions aren't right for them to do meditation. So the encouragement, and even if we can practice meditation, the encouragement is to do good deeds, to practice non-attachment to result, to do good deeds and to practice non-attachment as this overall skillful kind of way of living. And anyone can do that. Anyone can do a good deed. We don't need to go about a conversation about what's good and what's bad. Do your best, and that's what you're able to do. That's it. So doing good deeds and practicing non-attachment. But if you find yourself in the position to meditate, then you cultivate that turning inward. You cultivate that picking up a method, following the breath. We talked about based breathing at the beginning of our session today, right? As the kind of beginning to our guided meditation. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and breathing out through the lips. And so we can bring that activity, that skillful activity, and it is skillful, brings our mind to our body, kinds of grounds us, stabilizes us for the most part, chills us out, even if you're not a Buddhist or into spirituality. So finding a method, finding a way of meditation to bring into our normal everyday life, this samadhi. And over time, as you do that, you'll find that there are states of calm and states of peace that come up. And when you have more and more experience with that, you can develop a higher valuation of peace and calm and stability. You can develop a more, I would say, a more valid or a more skillful valuation of just being able to chill out and to relax and not worry about the past and the future, and not worrying about fixing yourself or getting this or getting rid of this, but just to be at peace. And so this samadhi comes up, this state of absorption, this single-mindedness, this wholehearted presence. So intentional ethical living, sila, samadhi, getting into our meditation practice a little bit more and developing that proper valuation of just breathing and being aware and chilling out. That meeting point of relaxation and concentration, that absorption into being, present, aware. And then finally, when you live in this way, really you get involved with it, you really dedicate yourself to skillful living and introspection and contemplation, it doesn't take a brain scientist to know that this has results. You get insight into the nature of your mind. You get insight into the nature of reality by extension, because you're doing work, you're really taking care, you're getting insight into it. So this is the final, this is the panya, this is the wisdom. So for our practice of wisdom, the first two is what we do. We practice morality, we practice meditation, and the insight naturally comes. But you don't only need to do it that way. You can also listen to the teachings. You can listen to Thich Nhat Hanh, Ajahn Brahm. You can do some study. You can realize and connect with heavy hitters that are out there. And this helps us to reframe our mind for compassion, for wisdom, for understanding. So when we work in that way, when we bring up and when we connect with wisdom, when we connect with our sincere moment-to-moment contemplative life, there are results. There are, for sure. And the more that you put yourself into this, the more engaged you are, the more that you work with this, wow, you wouldn't believe it, but I would say it, you can transform your suffering. You can transform the state of your mind. You can deeply stabilize yourself. You can deeply bring a shift in your valuation that you give to compassion and kindness and patience and taking care of yourself, being a friend to yourself. You can really do it. And it's as simple as recognizing that everything is burning. Don't get so wrapped up in those goals and those expectations and those outside ideas of yourself, but rather realizing that my head is on fire, do good deeds. Be intentionally ethical, be intentionally kind. Practice meditation. Practice non-attachment to expectation, to outcome. Just be. And every now and again, if you can, listen to wisdom. Listen to the teachings. There's a lot of wonderful, wholehearted, compassionate, peaceful people out there that are happy to join you in your deepest, darkest place. They don't mind. You're having a day of suffering and you're worked up and you're going through so much difficulty. Go onto YouTube and let Thich Nhat Hanh accompany you there. Or Ajahn Brahm. There's many people. You send me a message. Somehow you figure out how to send me a message and say, you know, today I'm going through all this. You have any recommendations, something I can listen to? Well, I'll try to send it to you. But Thich Nhat Hanh and Ajahn Brahm is a good place to start. Okay? So, everything is burning. And that's okay. All right? So that is my talk for today. Thank you so much for your very sincere listening. I'll ring the bell here. All right. So, does anyone have questions? Any questions that anyone would like to
I do,
ask?
Bante.
Okay, go ahead. What is your question?
So it seems that when you analyze the existence that we experience deeply, there's nothing that's not temporary, right?
Is that your
So
experience?
where
That's what you notice?
does idea it seems for most things. So where did this idea of permanence come from? And why did that become a measuring stick to begin with?
Well, the idea of permanence is impermanent, and that's kind of the point. So we don't think through this. If you want to think through it, you should find you should find another philosophy or another approach. Um, it's just what I said. Everything is burning. Your question is burning. You are burning, and it's our turning towards that, our recognition of that, that puts us into a place to do something about it, to take care of it. Um, so there is no permanence. That's why it doesn't come up. That's why I'm not here talking about permanence, because I'm not aware of anything that is permanent except impermanence. Impermanence seems to be permanent. Ever new impermanent nature seems to be the case. So, thank you for your question, Wampt. If you find something that's permanent, send me a picture of it. I'd like to see. Okay, so anyone else have some questions? Questions or comments? Well, questions, not comments.
I have a question.
Okay, Chesh.
Something you said caught my ear earlier about how, because of some people's current causes and conditions, it's just not like the right time for them to meditate. Um, if you have a friend who's wanting to start meditating, but they're finding it really hard or, traumatic, how do you know whether you should encourage them to keep meditating or whether you should tell them to try like generosity practice instead?
Right. Thank you for your question, Chesh. That's just wonderful. Um, Look, this is something that I've dealt with, and it's difficult to swallow this pill. And even with my years of practice and the deepest of intentions, I'm not, I've failed at this recently, and it tugs at my heartstrings. But if someone's not receiving it, if someone's not open to it, if someone is disturbed or upset by your sincere consideration towards them, you just have to give them the space. And you can't fix it for them. And pressuring them or trying to get a hold of them and pull them into it, it's not going to work. It's just going to, it's going to make them feel hurt. Because the work that we're doing is more subtle than we can imagine. It's more refined, it's more interconnected than we can imagine. So don't try to force anything. Um, just be a friend, just be compassionate, just give them a space of safety under the umbrella of your own practice. That's what you do. And for a more kind of poignant recommendation for, what someone would do if they were in your exact situation, I would say keep with your practice, do your best, and take that person on walks. Invite them to go for a walk. If you've tried and they're just kind of, it's too much for them, put that aside and take them on walks, or invite them to join you in one of these kind of doing good deeds, and then you find yourself both to be doing good deeds, and she's, this person has joined you in that. So I would say to try and start with that. And really, there's no replacement, there's no substitute for emboldening and deepening our own practice to share that with others. There's no substitute for that.
All right. Thank you, Bante.
Thank you, Chesh.
I have another question, Bante.
Let's. I think we're just going to do one question at a time for now, because we don't have unlimited time, and it's good to have an opening and a closing. I know that everyone here is not kind of trapped in a temple where the pressure is there to kind of, oh, I have to stay until this monk says that it's over, which is really convenient for keeping people to practice, but we don't have that here. So maybe just one question per person for now, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. But if you have a question, please feel free to ask. Okay, on the YouTube, I think someone else might be about to ask on Discord, but on the YouTube, Martin says, "How are you? Having a good day?" It's been a really nice day. I have to say it has been quite nice. Becky says, "What does Buddhism think about psychiatric medicines?" Buddhism thinks about complex situations to take a contemplative, compassionate approach, to do the very best that you can within that situation. So if you're using a psychiatric medicine because you're working with a team of doctors to take care of your suffering, well, you've got to do what you can do. There's no perfect, you stop doing that. You need to meditate. I mean, that's beyond the pale. I would never say that. So do the best that you can do to take care of yourself. That's what you do. And the more that you take care of yourself and the more heart and sincerity that you put into that, the more doors open up for, maybe you can practice meditation, and maybe over time you would need a little bit less of that medicine. Perhaps. I don't know. But whatever medicines you're using, it's to help you do your best to take care of your suffering. And you shouldn't say, no, that's bad or that's good. Just try to take care of it, do your best. And there's a reggae song that says, your best is your best. So don't worry about it. Don't stress out about, I need to get the perfect solution. Do your best. That's your best. Love yourself and love the process, because it is a process, and that's okay.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, Scar, go ahead.
I heard someone recently comparing psychiatric meds to like wearing eyeglasses. That, it's like not your fault if you have something a little different, but it does help you see better in a way. Or just, cope with.
Well, that's beautiful. Saying that it can kind of be like wearing eyeglasses, and it's something that people use because they have a certain condition. And when it comes to that, like, oh, psychiatric medicines are good or bad, or it would be better to not be on those, or the kind of negative, what is it, ableism, racism, whatever it is for people who have different causes and conditions. We just practice compassion. If someone's using a medicine to take care of their mind and their life, more power to them. They should do their best. And we can try to help and say, I'd like to spend time with you, or I think you should try this because it would be nice. We can offer, but don't push, and certainly don't judge people because of who they are. Accept that that's who they are, and that's okay. Try to help. Don't judge. There's enough judgment in the world.
I have a question.
Okay.
What do you think of the idea of gaining control when giving away control or giving up control.
So it's by giving ourselves the choice. So if we reject, if we say, no, that's not my responsibility, that's not my thing, that doesn't have to do with me, I'm not responsible for that, we kind of think that that gives us freedom because we're saying, I can't control that. I can't have an influence on that. It's separate from me, right? We reject it. But if we take responsibility, if we step into this full spectrum life, we can make a choice to take care of this or not, to let go or to grab onto. And that's really the space, I think, of no control as total control. But we can only do that through taking responsibility, through showing up to it. If we don't show up, we're not, by avoiding it, we're not kind of taking control of it. By showing up to it, we're making the choice that this is something I want to get involved with. This is not something I want to get involved with. But we don't have any choice in the matter. We don't have any control over the matter unless we give up this idea of control. That separation between me and those things that aren't me. Everything is you. Nothing is also you. You have to have responsibility for nothing as well. And when you have responsibility for nothing, wow, you can do so much. Okay, Simon, how is that all right for you? Not a perfect
Yes,
answer,
thank
maybe?
you.
Okay. All right. So, any final question? Anyone else like to ask a final question before we wrap up? Great. So, to close out, I'm going to do some chanting, especially because we have the wonderful image of the founding teacher of Buddhism behind me. You know, we're appreciating that space, so it's only right that I do some Buddhist chanting. The meaning of this chant is to celebrate and to lift up our Buddha nature, our awareness nature, that there is a peace within us that is totally accessible, moment to moment, and that we can rely on rather than figuring things out or fixing or getting rid of, but we can rely and celebrate and appreciate this Buddha nature, this inner Buddha. The second part of the chant is to celebrate and to take refuge in that Buddha nature, to take refuge in that awareness nature, that we really can rely on that and that we only rely on that. To take refuge, to rely on wisdom teachings that help us to reduce suffering, teachings and ideas and concepts, expressions that help us to let go of our attachments and our self-clinging and our negative thoughts, wisdom, teachings, Dharma. And then finally, taking refuge in the community of practitioners. We don't just take refuge in any person, any alien who we happen to come across who's doing goodness knows what. We may have to be in a relationship with them. We may have to be in difficult places, but we take refuge in the community of compassionate practitioners. People who are really showing up to take care of themselves and to take care of one another day after day, breath by breath, moment by moment. Okay? So I will share this chanting, and at the very end of the chanting, we'll chant a sadhu, and you can join me in chanting sadhu, and then we will bow, and our session will end then. Okay? So here we go. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Sama sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gecchami. Dhammam saranam gecchami. Sangham saranam gecchami. Tutiyampi Buddham saranam gecchami. Tutiyampi Dhammam saranam gecchami. Tutiyampi Sangham saranam gecchami. Tatiyampi Buddham saranam gecchami. Tatiyampi Dhammam saranam gecchami. Tatiyampi Sangham saranam gecchami. Sadhu. 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 Thank you so much for joining in this live group meditation, this community practice. We have these meetings every day, and I hope that you all will consider to join us more often, and also that you will consider to bring this practice into the rest of your life, breathing and being aware, intentionally being kind, and hope to see you again soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe and to share. Okay. Take care, everybody. Thank you really for being here. I really appreciate it. That's the end.
Thank you, Bante. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bante, you got it.
Well, I've got to prepare for the upcoming ceremony here at the temple, but if you want to send me a message, maybe we can have a talk, okay?
I sent you a message. Let me know when you have time to have the conversation.
Okay. Take care, Wang.
Thank you, Bante.
And thanks for everyone joining on the YouTube. Much appreciated. I hope you got some benefit. Hope you got some benefit from this practice, everyone on the YouTube and people watching on TikTok. The YouTube channel is called Monk Life, or Welcome to Monk Life. And like I just said, we have these sessions every day, so you're very invited to get involved and also to join us on the Discord server. Maybe I can pop a link in the YouTube live chat. So if you'd like to join the community on Discord, that you can do that right now. So let me just put a link in the YouTube live chat. And please feel free to share about this session and about this community. We're always happy to have more people joining us in meditation. And that's the YouTube. Or no, that's the Discord. Okay. That's the end of our stream. Take care, everybody, and thank you for joining. Okay.